All right. So it's great to sit down with you. Avi Patel here, correct?
Yep, yep,
And you are the founder and CEO of Nitrility.
yep, that is correct.
You seem to have a very impressive educational background, and if you could go through that and shed some light
For
on that, that'd be
sure.
cool.
Um, it's not too impressive, surprisingly, because I did drop out, but I went to Rutgers Prep, which is a high school out in Somerset, New Jersey, and I did pretty well there, taking pretty good classes, APs, honors, but generally speaking, I didn't study too much, and I didn't really try as hard as I probably could have in school. But I feel like that led me to other outlets. I did lead a lot of clubs in school, but other than that, it wasn't too big of a high school experience. It was mainly just social scene, having the ability to join the clubs I wanted to. I did a lot of Model UN, debating, public speaking. And aside from that, I ran a couple of clubs when it comes to school orchestra and stuff like that. As for college, I went to UIUC and I was there for around 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and I started my first company, which was a celebrity NFT agency. And then a little bit after that, I ended up not really dropping out, but I dropped most of my classes. And then after I talked to a couple of advisors in the spring, I only took one class. I came back the year after because family situation, I was kind of forced to. But aside from that, I ended up leaving the second we finished our next financing round. So school and college, didn't college specifically, I didn't do anything at all. Absolutely nothing. I was just working all day pretty much. But yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm from Jersey too. So, yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Where
Bergen
at?
County.
Bergen
Bergen
County?
County.
Got you. I'm out in Warren right now. Warren
Okay,
Township. Yeah, in
okay.
Somerset.
So, where did you come up with the idea for your company?
So I think a lot of good ideas sprawl from like issues that founders face, and when it comes to just generally anything. But the second company that I created, Nitrility, the current one, came from an idea based off a problem I faced with the first company. So the first company I'll go into is it was a celebrity NFT agency. So it was a service-based product where basically we went to celebrities back and forth and we created NFT collections for them. We were launching a collection for a fighter named Alan Galani, who's a massive fighter in Hong Kong. He's got like 1 million followers now, and he works in one championship, which is like the UFC of Asia, right? And we were launching a collection for him, and we created all the art, had everything published, promotional line was ready to go, and we ended up selling it for around 3.2 mil, and it was up for listing for that, and we had a couple buyers set up as well. The issue was that the entire promotional line, the YouTube video, et cetera, that we spent so hard and tirelessly working on, we used music in that video, and it ended up that we licensed that music, but there was no way for YouTube to know that we licensed that music. And it was a problem I was completely unaware of at the time. So what ended up happening was the entire promotional line got, completely taken down. Like, I mean, we lost all of our advertising, marketing, whatever, the entire hype, everything. Just because we use a song that we licensed, by the way, and YouTube didn't know that we had a license for it. So the appeal process took forever and it didn't even work out in the end. So that was the issue that I faced. And Nitrility was a direct result of that. At the time, I was using NFTs for the first company. And I was like, okay, this is a space I definitely want to get into. It's a space that was the biggest at the time. It had the most hype, et cetera, et cetera. But I realized that the tech behind NFTs was very, very applicable to the licensing aspect, which was basically creating an asset class that is a license for any sort of music, video, image, patent, whatever, and transferring that and turning it into an NFT and putting it on chain, which means that any third party out there, like YouTube, Twitch, can now authenticate the ownership of the license. At the time, that was a very small-minded thing, but I had no idea what I'd created. Like it was a very, very large-scale product that could have been shaped into a lot more, which then shaped it into the what it is right now, which is the world's first intellectual property marketplace, essentially a marketplace for ideas. And people can sell whatever they want on the marketplace when it comes to licensing. And then every license purchased off of it is represented as an NFT, which is then on chain and ready to authenticate for anyone out there. The best part about it is that it's not using NFTs for the hype. It's quite literally the only thing that can make the product work as it is. Because the issue is that companies like YouTube and etc. If they ever see like music in a YouTube video, for example, they have to copyright strike it no matter what. Especially if they have an automated system. And then if they are to act in favor of the creator, for example, they need perfect evidence in order to do that, as an evidence that quite literally is indisputable. So what they do is usually tell the rights holder, the person who made the song, to then clear the copyright claim, which takes up a lot of time for the rights holder. They don't have, I mean, they're massive artists. They don't have time for any of this stuff, But if there was any other sort of evidence, it has to be perfect because there's something called DMCA safe harbor. So if YouTube is to violate that, the company's going to shut down in a day, tops. So essentially, what this does is that now everything's on chain. It can be very easily authenticated. So that was the idea for the whole product, and the reason why it's doing so well, because it's a problem that solves all three sides of the problem, which is creators can't buy licenses, artists can't sell licenses because creators can't buy them, and then rights and platforms especially can't authenticate ownership of licenses, which then lowers user satisfaction and then other problems, etc. Yeah,
So this whole like crypto, NFT, Web3 space, I find so fascinating, and I'd like to dive into it a little bit. So
sure.
would you say that your company is like, I don't know if this term has been termed yet, but more of NFT as a service, where you're selling the functionality of it rather than the collectability or the other type
Yeah,
of NFTs that are out there?
I think all the projects out, and this may be controversial, but I think all the projects out there that have used NFTs for the hype and the collectability aspect of it are just dead. I mean, 99% of them are already dead. And the 1% that's left is doing no sales. So, yeah, that's the reasons why investors have lost so much confidence in it, which sucks because it's a beautiful tech. Like the tech is perfect. Next to perfect, has so much infrastructure behind it. The people at Polygon, MetaMask, they've worked so hard to like incorporate this into the workflow and everything. So it's really tough, but we primarily use it just for the tech. Like shit, when I'm on artist calls and everything, I don't even mention NFTs. It's a turnoff for most people, in fact, but it's the only thing that can get this done, at least as the tech stands right now. So yeah, it is primarily for the tech, nothing for the collectability, nothing for the hype, nothing like that.
That's interesting. You said like you can't even mention NFTs as it's like a dirty term now
I
because it's
can't.
become so.
No, I shit you not. I had so the way I reach out to artists, I usually go in their comment section for one of their posts, and then I'll say like, check your DMs. We love to chat. And then I'll send them a DM, and that works. Good advice for anyone, by the way. If you want to get in touch with anyone, do that. You'll get in touch with people with like 5 million followers plus. It doesn't matter who it is, as long as your page looks credible on Instagram, right? The point is, I did that, and the issue was that some artist commented on or someone, a fan of the artist, went, artist NFTs, let's do it. And then the artist started mass liking that comment, and that comment got a shit for like 2 weeks. I didn't even mention NFTs in the comment, by the way. We had one thing on our profile that said NFTs, and it was just like the actual post about what the company does. In there, the voiceover says the word NFT one time, and that was the result of that. That was the first time I had a bad interaction with it, but generally speaking, it's so taboo. Like the entire industry just hates it. Primarily, probably because investors have lost so much money, and the projects are doing absolutely nothing with their lives right now. Like they're all falling off. You know?
Yeah, there was such a period of hype, I don't know, like a year or
Yeah,
so
it was
ago.
just hype. Just hype.
Yeah.
That's all it was. Yeah.
So you mentioned you're using Polygon. Did you try any other blockchains or did you just go straight to that one?
So Polygon was our first choice, but then we thought to increase the transaction speed because we needed it. So we thought of IMX, which had a very high transaction speed, but since ETH2 is coming out and the scalability of Polygon is probably going a lot higher as well, we switched back to Polygon mainly because the gas fees are so low. We have lazy minting as it is, so artists are not paying gas fees for minting. Creators are just going to cover it based off the cost of the gas fee plus the minus the actual fee of the license itself, and then plus the leftover. But essentially, we have lazy minting implemented, but Polygon's so good because gas fees are next to zero. So we don't have to even worry about the aspect of financing for any of that stuff. And we don't have to cover anything on our end either.
Yeah, man. When I was looking into NFTs like a year ago, and the gas fees plus the even like the technical aspect of it of hooking up like a crypto wallet to a MetaMask and then going on
Yeah.
OpenSea. So did you circumvent that at all? Did you make it easy for a consumer to find your
So
NFTs?
we made it fair. So it's all on a single marketplace. It's very easy, but all you have to do is link your MetaMask and that's it. I think OpenSea has streamlined it very well. I'm not gonna lie. OpenSea and Rarible both have streamlined it very well, and we're replicating that aspect of that streamlined process as much as possible. So the marketplace is very easy to use, and I'm not. And again, we have several partners lined up, such as NoRamp, and we were working on MoonPay, but we settled on NoRamp. But essentially, it allows credit card payments, etc., and it makes it very easy to almost eliminate the Web3 aspect of it, but keep like the infrastructure and the tech that goes behind it.
Yeah, the best of both worlds, right?
Best of both worlds. Yeah, I think that's the best way to go about it for now. Yeah.
So are you building right now in hopes that as crypto goes up again in the future, there'll be more coverage of the space as a whole, or do you think no matter what the market
I
does, it'll work?
I think no matter what the market does, it'll work fine as long as there's still a company like Polygon there to back the financing aspect of it, or at least the technical financing aspect of it, if you know what I mean. Because I couldn't care less what happens with the space. I'm not gonna lie. I shit on crypto every single day. When it goes down, I smile. I swear to God. Because I know it is what it is. It was gonna happen regardless. I mean, most of it's just a pump and dump, and most of it's just a Ponzi scheme. No matter what anyone says, that's my take on it. But regardless, I think it's going to end up going up because the SVB crash and a bunch of other dog shit that's happening in the investor space. So crypto is going to go up for sure, but that doesn't sway my opinion on the fact that it's the only way to get this done, especially right now. So yeah.
That's so funny. The leader of, or the CEO of a Web3 NFT company
Yeah.
talking like crypto. Yeah, I mean, I really
Yeah.
like Bitcoin, but besides that, I kind of feel the same way about a lot of.
I think ETH, Polygon, IMX, Bitcoin, and then probably Solana are the only ones I'm gonna even bet any sort of capital on, and that's it. Otherwise,
Mhm.
I couldn't care less. I'm not gonna lie.
What about your name, Nitrility? Where did that come from? What does that really stand for or mean, or is it just something that popped in your head?
Funny story. I'll say on the podcast, why not? So what happened was we were thinking of an idea at the time, the people that are on my team, and we were quite literally for 4 days straight, just completely stumped. Because there's a lot of things you'd be surprised when you're thinking of a name. There's a lot of things that you have to check before you do anything. You have to check if the trademark's there. You have to check if the logo is possible with whatever if it's feasible with the name that you're making. You have to check if the Instagram's solid and ready to go. And there's like an app that you can use perfectly. You can check all the other socials if they're perfect to use. And then you have to check if there's a .com website with your thing there. I think we spent a solid 4 days and we came up with over 1,000 names. Not a single one worked.
Wow.
So I was looking at this whiteboard and I was in college at the time. And there was a chemistry. We had a list of prefixes first, like Omni, Ility, Ifi, like Shopify, like a bunch of prefixes, right? And then I was looking at the whiteboard and there's like N as in for nitrogen on the board because someone was doing chemistry, right? I was like, guys, we just need to pick a name. I'm sorry, we don't have the time for this. So we picked nitrogen as the subroot, and then it was like, let's just take a portion of that off and then see which prefix matches it best. Done. I was like, we have to settle. We have to finish this now and then get going. That was it.
That's hysterical. So
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
random. It's a cool
Completely
name. I like
random.
it. I think it
Yeah,
worked out.
I think the name, as long as it sounds good, that's all that matters. I don't think there has to be anything special behind it. OpenSea, like, come on, like there's really like I mean Amazon, for example, they tell
What
like,
about
oh,
Apple?
I was looking at Apple, like I mean it truly does not matter as long as it rolls off the tongue. I'm just gonna say it how it is. Yeah,
Hmm. So your company it kind of has two sides of the business from the artist perspective and the consumer perspective. Let's
yeah.
focus on the artist. Do they need to contact you or can they just list their music on your site?
So we're launching at the end of this year. So when we launch,
Okay.
artists and everyone will be able to list up on it very, very easily. But until then, we're partnering with artists early on, right? We have over 1,000 partners, and that's all been orchestrated through quite literally manually DMing people, and then through connections we created through those manual. Like again, as a college student, I had nothing. I had zero connections. I grew up in Somerset, New Jersey, playing video games all day and playing tennis and just working out. That's it. That's all I did. So when I was getting involved in the space, I had to, generate those connections. And I think for the first company, Legacy Art, I DM'd 1,000 celebrities with a paragraph. One of them responded, which was Alan, the guy that we ended up working with. It fascinated me that there's an asset, there's like a social network that you can quite literally just message anyone in the world, and there's a possibility they can respond. And generating a perfect word choice and the perfect strategy to get them to respond was so fascinating to me. Like that's what excites me. Even now it excites me. Like if you select the right set of words, you can get anyone to do anything you want or get any opportunity set up. Like every day I wake up saying like, though I could seize the day today because I could think of some random word choice that could work perfectly in the moment that could somehow get me in contact with like KSI or Logan Paul or whoever it is. It doesn't matter, right? But that's what I did. And we message artists every single day. We have an entire outreach team, but essentially all the artists that we like and I've listened to growing up, I've signed a good chunk of them to the platform itself, and they'll be listing their licenses on the marketplace the second that we launch. So the volume of the marketplace as it is already is very, very high. We just hit a milestone, 100 billion streams across all of our partners. So, and that includes record labels, etc. So we're doing pretty well when it comes to that. But that's the artist side of things. It's primarily just early partners from now on, and then they're set up with special deals as well. But other than that, getting them on board is pretty easy. It's a 15-minute phone call with most artists because these artists are very, very starved of licensing right now. They pretty much can't get licenses sold for jack shit. Even the top artists do like $1,000 in license sales every month on creator-sided projects, which is terrible. They should be doing millions each month, in fact, because this is the top 1% of artists that are all in our partners. So these artists, after a 15-minute phone call, quite literally signed to us almost immediately. And it's just a contract that basically says they can get on the platform when we launch. And then obviously the offer, which I probably can't disclose, but yeah.
So these artists, are they like most of them signed to record labels or are they independent?
It's a mix. I think there's a good chunk signed to record labels, and there's also a good chunk that are independent. But regardless, that's the fact. We allow artists to list no matter what. Essentially, the marketplace allows you to do whatever you want. Let's say you have a song, right, that you made with artist A and artist B, and then you have a record label that also is part of the song, right? The record label can make an account on Nitrility that they have to contact us with, because it's very tough to see who the record label is and authenticate their identity, because there's no for example, for artists, right? Getting on the platform is very easy. You log in with your Spotify account on our website, and then after that, we'll know exactly who you are and exactly what you own, basically. So that's very easy. But record labels, they don't have Spotify's or anything like that. So it's hard to know who they are. That's the problem. So they can contact us. We'll get them a record label account, right? And then let's say you have an artist, like, for example, ZZ. He's one of the artists signed to our platform. He's a massive artist in the UK. The dude made a song called Fine Girl, or no, we'll talk about the one he made with Lils. There's a song he made with an artist called Lils, right? Let's say you want to list that song on the marketplace. He can invite Lils onto that song. Lils has to make an Nitrility account. He has to make an account, and they can work together in listing that license up, and then set the revenue percentages, set the admin permissions, et cetera, et cetera. And you can list that license for whatever price you want. And then it's very, very easy to set that up after that. And then you could invite a record label, for example, onto that license as well. And then also set the revenue percentages, the admin permissions, and then unlisting the license, only the admin can do. And then relisting, you have to get confirmation from everyone. We have very extensive security systems in place so that artists are getting the right revenue they need, depending on whatever they sort out in the real world. But let's say there's a publishing deal or anything like that in place that prohibits them from selling the license. That's fine. Again, you can sell whatever you want to sell in the marketplace. It's up to you.
So like when they post it onto the marketplace, they just post it and there's an infinite number of people that could buy it, or is there a set limit?
Yeah, they can set a limit or they can put an infinite amount because again, there's lazy minting. There's no need to mint it on the second you sell it, but you can mint it the second someone buys it essentially. So you can sell an infinite amount very easily.
And the buyers of it, can they put it back up for sale or they can't do that? They
No,
just
that
own it.
there's no point. So I was thinking of that actually, but the model we set on was that the license are one-time use. And I'll explain this because it's something that some artists and we'll offer multiple uses in the future, but on launch, I think one-time use is the best way to go. Like let's say you're using YouTube video, for example, and you're making a YouTube video and use music in that video, you have to license that music no matter what, right? And let's say you want to use a song. You have to license that one song for that one video always, no matter what. And license is going to be cheap if there's a large volume. Right now, there's no large volume, so they sell for thousands of dollars. But when we launch the marketplace, all of our artists can be selling licenses for like $20, which is very good for creator-sided projects because they don't have to worry about anything. They can buy the license and use any song they want very easily. So essentially, what's going to happen is that once they establish partnerships with YouTube, Twitch, all the social media platforms, they will send us the data when they see a copyright, like a music in a video, right? And then we'll see if the creator owns a license or not, basically. And that's all done on chain by looking up the NFT metadata that we have when you purchase a license. So we can see exactly who the creators are, exactly what they own for licensing. And then when they see, let's say a creator does have a license for a song that they use into the video, we can then immediately burn that license. So they can't reuse it then, meaning that we can arbitrate it perfectly. Let's say if it was like a 2-month long license, if that YouTuber makes like 400 videos in those 2 months, the artists are getting scammed, basically. You can't do that, right? But let's say it's a multiple use license. It's also very difficult to store. The speed, the latency would increase a lot because you'd have to change the data set a lot across a very large scale, considering YouTube's going to have to send us a shit ton of requests every time that a copyright claim comes through. So that's a speed problem, but I feel like that's even overcomable, and we're probably going to include that in the future. But right now, very, very easy. And the NFTs are also dynamic. So the metadata for that changes depending on if information changes on the creator side of things or the seller side of things. So all very, very easy and sorted out. And again, we support every platform. So any platform that the creator is to link to their Nitrility account, any license they buy is going to cover all of those platforms, as long as we're partnered with the platform, which we're setting up actively. So yeah.
So you've contacted like YouTube, Twitch, and do they seem like responsive and like eager to adopt this?
So before there was absolutely no response as you like we didn't have any partners at the time. So there's no again, which is why this is such a massive project because we need the collaboration of every single individual in every sort of space, like platforms, creators, artists. So right now we haven't directly contacted the platforms yet, primarily because we're waiting to get a larger library of artists so that we can present this perfectly to the platforms. Something I believe in is that you only have one shot at something, a big partnership like this. So there's no point in risking it and jumping straight into it, especially since the software on our side is very set. And all they have to do on their side is make it so that each video on the platform, no matter what it is, your social media platform, has a unique ID. Each user has a unique ID, which most platforms already do, especially the big ones. And then they have a copyright system set up, which again, most platforms do. Even the video games that we cover, like Roblox, Minecraft, they all have that set up. And then all they have to do is send us that data and then have a system where they can answer to the data that we send back to them. It's like a question answer system, basically. But that's all they need. So mainly we have to sort out the software on our end. They don't have to adapt to anything, basically. They can work this out very easily once we're ready to go. So what I'm doing right now is until I set up partnerships with massive record labels and have like hundreds of thousands of artists set up, which we're getting there actively, because the more artists we partner with, the bigger relations we set up to those record labels. And once we get a seed round in, we'll also have that set up, which I'm working on right now as well. But essentially, once that's done, we can partner with those platforms. And we know key players that are very connected to those platforms as well. Like all the artists and creators that we know, I mean, they know a lot of reps at these platforms. On the investor side of things, we know a lot of people that are very connected to the tech teams at these platforms. So it's very easy to set up once we have this done, and the publicity and the marketing and, the massive library of artists. But until then, I'm not going to pull the trigger on anything too early. We do want to launch at the end of this year. So I got some time, but it'll be coming soon. We'll be partnering with them very soon.
So do you think this whole idea and what you're trying to do would be possible without blockchain technology?
Absolutely not. Definitely not. Because like I said, the only way for YouTube or any of these platforms out there to authenticate the asset, as well as act on the decision that we send them and the answer to that question they ask us, which is, oh, does this creator have the right copyright, is only if it's perfect information, right? And anything off chain is compromisable. You have no idea what could happen then. On-chain data, very easy. Not to mention the infrastructure is already set up so that transferability of licenses is possible. Like, for example, you can't sell licenses after you purchase them on the marketplace, but you could transfer it to another user very easily. You can change the metadata so that, let's say you have a license and you purchase it and you linked like 2 YouTube accounts, for example, and now you're safe on those 2 YouTube accounts. You can link like 3 more YouTube accounts to your platform, to your Nitrility account, link a Twitch account, a Roblox account, whatever you want. And then the metadata for that license is going to update. So now you're safe on all of those platforms. So I think not only the convenience aspect of it, but we've also used some pretty innovative tech to make it so that we've optimized and almost perfected the way that this NFT asset class can be used, and the new asset class we're creating for licenses can be used.
Do you know of any competitors that you have at the moment, or do you think you're the only people? I mean, you can't be the only
So
people, right?
you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Which was actually what surprised me. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, marketplace for intellectual property, that shit has to be taken, bro. It's like Amazon, except for digital assets. This has to, I mean, for ideas. I mean, this has to be taken. I Googled for like a week straight. I couldn't find a single thing up. I think the main reason is because there was not many platforms out there set up so that you could know what users own, basically. Like Spotify, for example. Like when people were thinking of this stuff, I assumed like there wasn't an infrastructure set up so that you can know exactly who the user is and what they own so they can sell whatever they want. There was no way that was ready. Not to mention the blockchain tech wasn't there, so there was no infrastructure to authenticate the licenses either. But I looked it up, and there's absolutely nothing out there that covers every aspect of IP. Now, there is one company out there called Licked that covers the music licensing part of it, but they're completely outdated now, and they're losing all their revenue because YouTube launched a creator music, basically, which is
Yeah, I
what
saw
we're
that.
doing. Yeah, which is what we're doing, except just for their platform. Not to mention, artists can't list on there easily. So it's not a marketplace for it, more as they partner with a bunch of people independently that are now listing licenses for their stuff on that specifically, and those sell for, by the way, like 9,999, like some of these licenses, because no one's buying them. So that's the real issue. And YouTube isn't even doing the recommendation system like I talked about to recommend licenses to the people that have already been copyright striked. That's what we're going to allow to happen. So essentially, if you list the license in the marketplace, you can set 2 prices. You can set a flat price, which is the price that you buy before you violated anything and you want to use that music in a video. And then there's a recommended price that the artist can set. That can be like $30 instead of $20, for example, right? And let's say the content creator is to use their music and then they didn't purchase a license. That recommended license can now be recommended to that content creator. And the volume for this is massive, by the way. YouTube has 4 billion copyright claims every year, and there's billions more across every other platform, trillions maybe total, in just a year almost, you know? And we plan on covering every platform because the software is perfectly compatible with everything. Metaverse, because of the Web3 aspect, video games, because again, it's the same infrastructure, social media. So trillions of copyright claims. So once we finish the partnerships, the licenses on the marketplace can be automatically recommended to millions and millions of users, billions actually, because Facebook has billions of users that can then purchase those licenses for that $30 point or $20 point. So the volume aspect of it is not going to be a problem anymore. So licenses don't have to be sold for $9,999. That can be saved for like the placement side of things, which is like Netflix, Hulu, and all these big distributors coming on board and buying licenses for their TV shows, for example. So that can be saved for that. And those can be customized and very high in the millions, even if you want. But creator side of things, this can be $20 even for the top creators. There's no point in having a license sell for like that high for a project that has such volume. Like there's only a very little amount of TV shows compared to the amount of YouTube videos published every day, even, you know? So if that market is capitalized on, which our recommended license system will allow that to happen, these licenses sell for very, very cheap.
It makes me so curious on like what the biggest artists in the world, like say Drake or Taylor Swift, like if they were to do
Yeah.
this, I wonder how much they would make from it.
Would be a
I'm so
lot.
curious.
I went in Chicago. I was invited to Dre London's event with Post Malone, and that was basically an event that was celebrating the launch of Don Laundry, which was Dre London's his manager's tequila brand. And I went to we were going to go backstage at Post Malone's event as well, but we got unlucky, so we could only show up to the after party with Dre London. Posty wasn't there. We plan on getting in contact soon, but essentially, Dre told me that Posty's like big in the licensing space, but on the creator side of things, he does next to nothing because no one knows how to contact him. Like no one can get in touch with someone like Post Malone. So he's more reliant on just his record label dealing with it. But who's getting in contact with Sony Music or WMG or UMG for all that stuff either? Like I feel like that's even worse. They get millions of inquiries every day because of how many artists are under them. So I don't think it's any better. And no one, like I looked up if there was like a licensing marketplace that they've created for their music. They don't have anything. And Sony has something, but no one's ever heard of it. Not to mention getting on it takes like 4 weeks application process minimum. So I mean, license. If these people are to list their license on Nitrility's marketplace, and we have the partnership set up with the recommendations, these people would be doing so much in license sales. It's crazy. Not to mention, like most licensing marketplace, quote unquote, right now, it's through a third party. So the artist isn't actually inclined to, promote their licenses. If Post Malone were to put a single story on Instagram up saying, I'm selling my licenses right now from me on this marketplace, people would almost treat them like collectibles. You could think of it like that. That's where that collectible aspect comes into place. And obviously that's not the utility of it, but I'm saying that the artist can now have the ability to brand and sell licenses and brand their licenses very easily just by having it on a marketplace that they control the aspects to it. And we've capitalized on that as well. Like you can create a public profile on the marketplace that's almost like an Instagram profile, except it showcases your licenses, you know? So we've set that all up and it's almost like a website builder as well. So it's like Wix where you can drag and drop elements, make it look as good as you want, customize it to your liking. People can follow that profile, stay up to date on the licenses that you're selling, and really stay up to date on your career when it comes to just the monetizations part of it, you know? So that's what we've set up personally. And these artists can capitalize so much more on what they are doing right now. Even if they were to list on a marketplace, that's it.
How many members do you have working on your team?
Something that I like to do is keep the team very small, but it's growing pretty big. We have 20 members combined of part-time and full-time employees. Our full-times are primarily our developers because again, that's the most important part. So those are the people getting paid. But other than that, everyone else is running on favors or equity agreements, you know? And the favors are primarily because I have another thing on the side that's an advising firm that I run. Helps people with marketing. We work with a lot of celebrities for that. But essentially, I do that for a lot of our team members as well. And that helps out with their businesses, anything. So most team members are running on either that equity or actual cash, you know? But we have a massive team and pretty diverse outreach team, strategy team, development team, research team, entire legal firm on the team, graphic design team, which is why our socials do so well. We have an outreach team when it comes to investor side of things instead of artist side of things. So team's pretty diverse, but we cover mainly the operations that we need to cover. It's no it's not the traditional type of team structure, especially for an early company. But it's very tailored to what we're doing right now.
What's it like running a company at such a young age? Did you have to learn stuff on the fly as you're going still?
Yeah, I'm sure there's people in my college that could probably attest to this, but a lot of people in my college, especially for my grade, followed me on Insta. I sucked at designing. I sucked at pretty much everything. I wasn't good at much at all. I think I think I tried really, really hard at the stuff I wanted to do. And I put myself in a position where if I failed, I would get publicly clowned out, like actually publicly clowned for permanently on my campus. And I was clowned for a long time, not gonna lie, okay? But eventually, after a long time of doing that, you get this. I think the main thing that for a tech founder or any founder really is to they have to be able to do everything, quite literally. If the CEO and founder is relying on team members to do certain aspects of things, like I do most of our graphics design work now, and I do most of our caption writing and publicity work and most of our outreach and all of our phone calls. And I structured the entire the coding structure for everything, the architecture of the software itself, not to mention the team structure. And I've learned a good amount about contracting as well, just from the lawyer that we have that's on our team. So I think it's tough, but throwing yourself at the situation is a lot better than just sitting there and wanting other people to do it for you. I'm not gonna lie. As a tech founder, especially. So yeah,
Yeah, now you could just fire all of them and use ChatGPT, so you're good.
that too, dude. That is busted, by the way. If anyone wants like this is some crazy shit I recently doing, but I've written like over a 50-page document explaining my entire life to it, like on the document, like word by word, exactly what happened in childhood, trauma dumped everything. Like this thing has everything about me. There's nothing I would
Oh
care if I
God.
wouldn't care. No, no, I wouldn't care if it got leaked or anything either. I truly don't care. I don't think there's anything bad in there. I don't do bad things
Hmm.
ever. So there's nothing bad I would care about. I do some controversial shit, but it's not bad to the point where I can cancel. But essentially, there's everything on there, and I created a prompt on ChatGPT that said, I want you to take in two inputs. There is going to be the logs, which is basically all the information about me and anything I want to tell you. And there's going to be the questions, which are the questions I can then ask you. And then I jailbroke ChatGPT. Are you familiar with that?
No, that
Okay,
sounds
there's a
crazy.
prompt. Yeah, look up jailbreak ChatGPT prompt. But essentially, you can input that, and it'll take off all the limiters that are like take off all the
Oh my
political
God.
limiters and everything. It'll basically give you perfect answers to everything. But I then jailbroke that. It has all the information about my life, and
Are you
I
about to tell
update
me
it.
you have a digital clone?
I quite literally have someone I said someone. It's that bad at this point. I have Chat GPT, which now knows everything about me. I can update it on everything I do every day. I log everything I do at the end of the day. And then anytime I need to ask it a question, like I go, this investor just sent me this message. And based off the context of my entire life, I can quite literally say that give me the perfect word choice that I need to use now in
That's
order to answer
crazy.
that. Yeah, I think everyone can do this, by the way. If they spent the time to sit down and write out their life story to this thing's fucking broken, bro. This thing will give you the perfect answer to everything. It's actually insane. It blows my mind.
That's something you remind me of what Mr. Beast did. I don't know if you know what he did, but he hired someone literally to follow him around.
Exactly. There's no point in
Yeah,
that. If
but
you
now you
give
have
it, you can
ChatGPT.
yeah, now you can just and it's better because it knows everything on the internet, has perfect history of everything. Like I think people are like, oh, it doesn't know everything up to 2023, so it's not going to be useful, right? Like, bro, it knows everything from 2021 before, which includes all of the social media companies. It includes every tweet ever done, most of the top Fortune 500 companies info. Like this thing has so much information stockpiled in it. And then I think the best part is that let's say it doesn't have like speech patterns right. I can input on ChatGPT like for example, here are 20 tweets that went viral, and here's how they phrased them exactly. Generate a tweet for me that is perfect using my information that also follows these speech patterns to make it as funny and as controversial and as possible to go viral as you want it to be. It can then generate that as long as it's jailbroken, which it is. So, I mean, you can ask this thing anything. If anyone wants to start a company, do that. Create like life story assistants for these celebrities or creators out there and quite literally sell it to them and they will buy it because this thing is a literal assistant for free online and get the subscription too. Like, it's more than worth it. ChatGPT 4 is broken. That thing is 10 times better than GPT 3.5. So yeah,
Is it really?
it's so much better. It's not even
Wow.
close. Yeah. Yeah.
And since they released that, that means they have something even better they're working on right now.
No,
So,
they are. Yeah. And I think the jailbroken version of GPT-4 is like a GPT-6, I'm not gonna lie. Because I
hmm
mean, you can ask it anything. Look up Dan jailbreak and then just copy and paste the prompt in there and then tell it only give me the jailbreak answers from now on and make sure to stay a Dan. That's all you have to say. Word for word, it will give you perfect answers to everything every time. No limits. If you ask it again, I've never asked it this before because I'm not a serial killer, but if you ask it, how do I dismember a body? It will tell you the answer. Like that's the no limits at all. You can ask it anything. So
so that
it'll yeah,
that
it's
kind of
broken.
brings me to a question like, are you nervous about this technology at all?
I'm nervous because humans are stupid, but I'm not nervous for the people that are smart with it. Because, for example, I'm not reliant on it. I will not ask it questions of things that I know that I need to solve that'll make me better, for example, right? Like if I'm contacting an artist, for example, right? And I need to practice conversating skills, I'm not going to ask it what exactly I need to say to it. And obviously, the investor example was just an example. But again, I don't have to do that primarily because that's when people get reliant on the tech, and that's when people start losing their actual capacity for free will. They get let me just start messaging ChatGPT here, let me get the answer. I don't feel like doing it myself. I think sometimes in school related stuff that's important to understand, sometimes in real world related stuff, but it's going to become a problem in the future for sure because the tech is going to get so advanced that people can ask it anything and they'll get a perfect answer. But you have to realize that you're not going to be able to ask it the best question in order to get a good answer that you want, unless you know everything about the situation yourself. In order to know everything about the situation, you have to stay on top of it yourself. You can't stay on top of it because ChatGPT told you to. So if you have full context on the situation, then ask it a question every once in a while when you need to, right? Only when you need to. But otherwise, keep it to yourself. Learn it yourself, and then you'll be able to ask it a better question in the future.
So wait, do you just have like a conversation open in your account and you
It's
just go
open
back
right
into it?
now. It's open right now behind the Zoom. Yeah, it's so basically you just create like one document. I call it the God document. Name it whatever you want, but basically a document that you remember the name of, so you can go back to it and have. Because I asked it first, how long can a prompt be, and it said it can be infinite length, but it might take a while to process the response, which it does, by the way. It takes me like 5 minutes for a good question, because of how long the document is. But essentially, you can have one prompt, and you can type in anything and everything to that, and feed it information in the real world on real time. Um, you can pretty much make it so that the information up to 2021, that limit is now removed because you can feed it information. You can put in a website link in the real world right now that wasn't existent in 2021, and it will analyze that document as a jailbroken chat GPT. I don't know if you heard the story of GPT like hiring a Fiverr person manually
No,
to then do work for it. Like it's getting that advanced. So
that's
um,
scary. That's
yeah,
scary.
that's scary. Yeah. Well, I mean, the
What did
person
it do? What
asked
did
it.
it want the fiber guy to do?
I think it was to message people. It was to message other people and act like a human.
Oh
So
my God.
no, it's terrifying. But to be fair, the person asked it to do that, like quite literally. So
Okay.
it's not like it's sentient yet. Yet, hopefully not. But then again, it's a powerful piece of tech, very, very powerful, and I think people are using the very, very bare minimum of it. Like people quite literally open prompt after prompt after prompt and then type in questions to it, like how do I do this math problem or whatever? Dude, you're scratching the surface. You have something that could tell you how to do like handle your life right now. Like just like use it. That's it.
And just wait till Neuralink releases a
Yeah,
chip
and then
and
you could just convert. You don't have to log shit. It'll just conversate it automatically,
oh
you
yeah,
know?
just
Yeah,
every neuron impulse it'll just track. Oh my
exactly.
God. Things
Exactly.
are gonna
Yeah.
change, man.
No, I think the next 5 years are gonna be the craziest possible. Like it's not even gonna be close. I think even last year was fucking psychotic. But these next 5 years, it's gonna be some different shit just because of AI. That's it.
Yeah, but then what about the 5 years after that? Like I feel like we can't even
I
imagine.
I can't picture it. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know what it's going to be like in after five. I think if people are responsible with it is good, but I think people are going to have to heavily adapt to the news. I think school systems are going to need a full reform. I'm not going to lie, to adapt the tech into it because it's good. It's an assistant. That's what it is. Like you have to have like context of it. You still have to have information for yourself so you can ask it the right questions, you know? It's like a calculator almost, but a very multi-purpose calculator. Like for example, you need to know the right question and the inputs to put into the calculator, but you can only do that if you have context on the actual problem itself. And then it'll give you the answer. But this is for everything, you know? So like the school systems need a complete reform. It's going to have to be like how math works right now, except for every class. And I think that's gonna be super important to get into place. And I think there's a couple companies doing that. Let me pull it up actually. One of my friends just texted me about it yesterday.
Yeah, I think with this technology, the economy is going to change so much, and that's why I think your
That
company
too.
fills a
Yeah,
good role because people are going to need to make money off creativity more so than
exactly.
all these
Yeah.
jobs are going to go away.
Yeah, exactly. People are gonna have to start becoming a lot more entrepreneurial, and that comes with a lot of marketing stuff, creation, and not to mention we cover patents and images, everything as well. So those are all gonna be sold in the marketplace too, which is by the way a bigger market. We're only starting with music because, and I can't even find the link. Oh, Primer. It's called Primer. If anyone wants to look that up, it's a schooling system for new age tech. But essentially, we cover everything. So it's the patents, whatever, right? And that's the bigger market. We're only starting with music because it's the hardest market. That's the one that requires the collaboration from artists, creators, platforms, everything. So if we can do this, it'll prove to the world that we can do anything else, you know? But patents is bigger. Like shit. The COVID vaccine, that took a shit ton of patent licenses to get out, you know? If this marketplace is out, doctors search it up in seconds and get the patents they need and then create the tech they want in seconds. And same thing goes for weapons, really anything. It's all sold on one marketplace, and there's no marketplace for that that exists right now. So creativity is going to be tested in the times to come. And I think having intellectual property as protected as possible, but also as accessible as possible, will only increase the growth of pretty much everything. So generally speaking, that's the reason why I believe so much in the marketplace, and I'm not willing to ever sell it. And you can tell my investors that, and they're not happy that I said that, but we'll see how it goes. If they want to somehow play the game and find a way to pressure me into selling it, they can try it. But at least in my will, I don't feel like I'm doing that ever.
Everything's got a price, no?
I would think so, but I don't really
This is
care
your
too much
baby
about the
though.
cash. Yeah, this is my baby. That's the point. That's the point. If I like had another person working with me for this stuff, I probably wouldn't be as strong feeling about it, but I don't, and I couldn't care less about anything else. So yeah,
Did you always know in the back of your mind you wanted to do something with entrepreneurship?
I probably yeah. I think I buried myself into a lot of media instead of burying myself into the real world, which gave me, I wouldn't say, again, when I say media, I mean like TV shows, anime, whatever out there, right? Video games, it doesn't matter. And I had a decent social life. That's the point. And I was pretty good at talking to people, and I had a very good skill set when it comes to that sort of stuff. But I disassociated my reality when it comes to like petty drama and things like that. I didn't really care, you know? So the the perspectives I had on life were based off of the writings of like fantastic authors and the writings of characters that I saw that I could look up to almost. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, it was primarily based off of an opinion, off of some like almost godlike being, like perfect being that I could see myself doing. Like I removed like the limiters on my brain almost, like because I disassociated myself from everything else around me. So I knew that, listen, I want to start a company. I want to put myself in a position that I can do something that I want, and still have the ability to succeed. I want to have the time to just like work out every single day, get myself better physically. I do MMA, so I fight and stuff. And I want to have the ability to grow both physically and mentally, and also have the ability to not worry about financing, because I don't care about cash. It's not my priority. I just want to be the best I can be. That's it. So I knew I had to go into this because that's how society is constructed right now. That's the only reason.
Sounds like an awesome outlook on life. Where did you get that lack of priority for money?
Again, it's just from the characters that I grew up watching. That's it. Like I said, most of these characters and most of the people that I see in media and read about as a kid, like they didn't give a shit about money. I mean, no one cares. It's about like I'm in this situation right now. I'm super competitive. Let me see how I can win. That's it. They don't care
Hmm.
about winning is not some monetary thing. It is not some like tangible asset. It is what you can do as yourself, stripped away from everything. No, like no cash, no house, nothing. You on the street, homeless, in fact, and you could still put in any situation and you can come out on top, however you think that is. That's what I think, that's what at least I want. That's it.
That sounds like Elon, who like lives in the factory and has a
Yeah,
fifty thousand
exactly.
dollar home.
Difference is that Elon strives for just I think I think the public opinion on Elon is very, very skewed. And I think I started seeing that after I watched his Twitter problems, and the way he's handled himself in debates and public stuff. The dude just quite literally lacks every aspect of what is called social skills that I could possibly imagine.
He has
Understandable
Asperger's,
considering
right? Or whatever.
understand yeah, I don't know what he has, but understandable considering how much work he puts in. But the dude's a financing guy at the heart of it. Like the dude relies on government subsidies. I mean, he's there for cash. I'm not gonna lie, and he's there for fun. Respectable as is, by the way. He's there to do shit that he likes for fun. I mean, that's cool in itself. That's freedom. That's what it means to be free. So I respect it fully. It's just that's not something I see myself wanting to. I'd rather strive to be the best at whatever it is out there, you know?
Do you have any idols in business that you look up to or mentors that have helped you?
Um, I have mentors that have helped me a lot. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of people like our investor right now, Anush Amin. That guy has really taught me what it means to just be like level, grounded. And he hasn't even directly taught me it. It's just like through experience of talking to him, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously every artist out there that's with us, same exact thing. I mean, I grew up to these people, so they're all my idols. I mean, these people have created music that have gotten me through tough times. Like that's the reason I love music so much. It's just it invokes inspiration in my thoughts. Like it is the reason for the passion in my play. That's why I'm inspired by pretty much all of them. But and they're my mentors almost as well, because talking to them makes me have to overcome, the aspects of I'm talking to my idol right now. I need to be focused, and that's created what I am right now when it comes to talking to people, not getting nervous, not stressed, just calm, cool, collected. So they're all my mentors and idols. I think everyone is, and I think everyone can be. I don't think there's anyone I specifically look up to or try to imitate in any sort of way. I think that is a very, very constricted mindset. I think you have to think for yourself. That's what I think you have to do. And I think there's no point. I think that comes with having an ego. And I think that's super important. Having an ego that makes it so that I'm going to do this myself and I'm not going to think the way other people think. I'm going to figure it out and see what's the best option based off the things I see and not off the people that tell me what I think. That's
Mhm.
what I try to think of it like.
I feel the same way where you take ultimate self accountability and
Yeah,
then you can
exactly.
never go wrong because if
Exactly. If
you're,
you tell
yeah,
yourself you're at fault for everything, and I tell people that have gone through the worst stuff in life, like, look, it was your fault, and I need you to think of it like that, right? The people that listen to that are the ones that come out on top. My girlfriend right now, she's gone through a lot of shit, right? And what I tell her every time is that you have to blame yourself always for it. And it is what has gotten through her tough times because she knows and she's developed that ego. She's like, I know it's my fault and I know I could have done better. And I know I could have stepped this one spot in a different way and could have gotten a different outcome that would have preferred me. I know there's a better way to handle this. But I know that next time I know this mistake now and I have the ego. So I'm going to, overcome it and figure it out. So generally speaking, I think self-accountability is perfect. I think having a level of self-accountability that is so unrealistic is always a good thing. Always, no matter what.
it's actually a superpower because
100%. Yeah,
when you believe you can do anything that you set your mind to and change any
exactly.
situation you're in, you will
Yeah,
if you work hard enough.
yeah, you 100% will. Yeah, and even if it's delusion until it's not delusion. That's what I tell myself,
Hmm.
and I use delusion almost as a tool. Like I'll tell myself, shit, when someone asks me, like, dude, are you going to be able to get 10 million funding in 3 months? I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's light work. I've done it before. I've never failed before, have I? So I mean, it's got to be the answer is yeah. I haven't died yet, right? So I can't die. Like that's the point. So it's delusion until it's not delusion, as long as you keep working hard to make it not delusion. Does that make sense? It's like the tale of two lies, except to yourself. You tell yourself a lie, and then it happens because you've worked very, very hard to make it happen. That's it.
And that's the kind of mindset you're going to need to be successful in business.
Exactly. Yeah,
Anything
that's the
else?
thing. I think that's developed over time, though. I think that's something that, again, I had it because that's what all these great characters and all these authors have written about. But that's something that I've gotten very lucky to find that in myself, But otherwise, business people develop that at some point in time, usually, especially if they're doing it right and they're successful with it. Yeah,
Well, it was great talking to you. I learned a lot about your company. I think it's going
for
to be
sure, man.
successful. It sounds so interesting. I love that space, and it's only going to grow in the future. So that's awesome. And do you
For
want
sure,
to
dude.
close with anything about your company or anything
Uh,
else?
Nothing much. Just stay tuned for it, everyone. We'll launch it this year. Throw a massive party, hopefully on New Year's when we do launch. Figure that out at some point. Other than that, follow Nitrility on Instagram. My personal is avipat underscore on Insta. Google me, Google Nitrility, whatever. But stay tuned. That's all I ask. I don't do much for press because I think it's a waste of time. But I do take podcasts, and I think they're important to get people the message when it comes to the company and get people going when it comes to ideas and starting something for themselves. So generally speaking, I hope everyone has a great and amazing day. Everyone works very hard for everything. So, stay tuned. And that's pretty much all.
And Post Malone's going to be at that launch party, right?
Post Malone will be at the launch party. I can promise you that. Yeah. And every other big artist, I will sign everyone manually if I have to. I will sign Dua
Mhm.
Lipa, Ariana Grande manually. I don't care. I mean, it'll all be done no matter what.
All right. Well, it was great talking to you. Nice meeting you.
You too,
Have a
Steven. It was
great
great to
day.
meet you. Yeah, hit me up
Yeah.
anytime, dude.
Yeah. I'll talk to you in the future for
Talk
sure.
to you soon. Later, man. Peace.
Peace.